is Wednesday, February 22nd, 2017, and you're watching another episode of Redacted. This episode is brought to you by Mod Mic 5, delivering the flexibility and performance all in one standalone microphone that you add to your existing headset. Go check it out, ! Mod Mic in chat. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Yo, you might have interrupted me and Noob having a conversation.
I definitely did. And this week we're joined by Noobifier.
Not Twerk. Just in case anyone wonders why Twerk looks weird this week.
Yeah.
Twerk's so much more handsome.
He puts on so much weight. Such a fat guy. Where's his beard?
Why don't we start with you then?
That's just me.
Noobifier, what have you been up to this week, and what kind of shenanigans have you been getting into?
So, hello everyone. In case you didn't know who I am, I'm the Noobifier. I'm a member of the Redacted team. I'm a YouTuber only. So thank you very much for all the Twitch follows, but I'm the best host in the planet. So last week, seriously, last week I did a new guide for Star Citizen new people. Basically talking from start to finish about everything you might want to know about that. That was fun. 2.6.1, what you need to know about the patch. Some observations that I had, and then rounded up the week with a sixth in the job series, which was on mining. That just came out a little while ago, and that got very well received. And I'm prepared.
Well, especially with that talk coming up, where they're going to talk about mining and cargo, right?
Exactly, and that's exactly what I wanted to get that video out, because that's what we knew, and then I'll update that video with the changes so that you get a complete picture, right?
Double content.
You're like, oh, like view vamping. Yeah. I learned from the best.
You vampired of yourself.
I know.
It's
like next level shit. And then just to give you guys a little bit of news about the channel, in the next couple weeks, the patron backers have donated very generously, and there's going to be back-to-back carrots, not carrots. Carrots.
I'm keeping the carrots. We're giving away carrots. Sorry.
Right.
Guys.
So back-to-back right away. Sorry. Taking too much time. Go Boredgamer.
Well, I went to Foundry 42 UK the week after before the last one, and there's loads of stuff I can't tell anyone now, which is beautiful. I mean, what I will say is I'm currently waiting for some of my notes to be effectively vetted. I wrote all of my notes and questions that I asked into a single kind of sheet. So I'm just seeing what I'm allowed to say, and then I'll get a video up because I don't want to accidentally break my NDA like an idiot. But I will say that I talked to some people afterwards in the pub. There are a lot more ships than you realise being developed. There are ships that I didn't know were named or anything being developed as well. There's a lot of progress being made on a lot of stuff, especially ship and mechanic wise. That is very surprising and very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I will talk more about that rather than just going, haha, lol hype. But
I know more stuff than you do. You know, like,
I hate it. It's literally it's the worst possible position to be in, where I'm going like, oh, I could do this video, but I'm being influenced slightly by the fact I know this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult. So we'll see very soon. Next few days.
Fair enough. You now run a dual PC setup, much like I know Twerk and myself.
Yeah, well, actually, not like Twerking yourselves, because mine's my laptop, which I realised was
that's how I started.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because my actual streaming PC setup, because I set up two PCs, exploded the day before I went to Foundry 42.
Oh.
And I mean exploded. The power supply went like an explosion.
A lot of
next level shit.
Yeah, smoke, a little tiny bit of fire, which instantly died down.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I have an anxiety disorder. That was not fun. Because I was just like, like a cat in the headlights for a good 5 minutes, just smelling burn. Like, good job there wasn't a proper fire.
Tastes like burning.
It does. It did. It was horrible. But it was a piece of shit PC anyway. It was only like $100, so fuck it. But other than that, I've been digesting all of the lore from Star Citizen. I'm full of lore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna read up my notes on that, so I actually will be a bit more informed about the lore, because it was my weakest part of Star Citizen. I'm getting ready for Hellion, which hopefully we'll talk about probably towards the end of the podcast.
Yep.
Which is a survival first-person shooter similar to Star Citizen crossed with Rust kind of gameplay thing.
Yeah, it looks like less crafting, more survival.
It's survival and scavenging.
Yeah, more like DayZ in space.
Yeah.
I think is a better thing than say Rust or Conan or Ark or something like that. I don't. The
only PvE aspects of it at the moment are literally player versus environment. They do want to put like NPCs and cool stuff in, but at the moment I think it's like surviving, like the planet surviving station and radiation and stuff. But it looks cool. I mean, it's 3.0 without planetary landing and then simplified mechanics is what it looks like. 3.0 light.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, exactly. Also getting ready for BritainCon and I-60. BritainCon, the Star Citizen event up in Manchester on the 22nd of April. Come down to that if you can.
Do you have a link for that? You can post in chat?
I fucking will. That's
awesome.
A great idea. BritainCon.uk. I'll do that. Also I-60, which is a big, the UK's biggest like gaming expo that we do.
Okay, that's cool.
That's someone in March or something. That's in a few weeks.
It's funny. Right before the podcast, I was talking to Nubifire about gaming expos, which he apparently knows nothing about, which is hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
oh my God.
Yeah, I'll get into that in a second.
When you get your first fan at a gaming expo is coming over to say hello, when you're just like,
well, I mean, he did go to CitizenCon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I kind of knew what PAX was. I just didn't understand the scope and scale of it. It's like SEMA for computers or for video games, is what you're saying.
I don't know what you've just said is.
SEMA, never mind.
Okay, yeah. No worries.
It's like
I don't know what those are.
See? Exactly.
I just got to the point, Bored, in your video where you were adjusting your monitors, and I thought it was my computer for a second. I'm like, what is going on?
Why am I
on your stream? On your stream, I don't know.
I don't even know why I'm doing that on my stream.
I don't know.
Oh, thank you for the drinking money. People gave me drinking money for that as well. The best guys. I got really drunk, and so did everyone else around me. One of the okay, this is a story I can tell. There was at the pub. There was an old drunk guy. Yeah. Okay.
His name was Boredgamer.
No. So my brain. This is before I got drunk. Okay, I saw this old drunk guy. Okay, and this is how I interpreted him anyway. Old drunk guy, Chanu. Who the fuck is this guy? Stay away from him, sort of thing. Okay. Later on in the evening, I'm drinking with him, as you do when you get drunk. And I was like, "Oh, so who are you then?" And he was like, he's just looking at me oddly. And he goes, "Well, I know you're Boredgamer." And I was like, "Oh, who's this guy?" He's like the lead tools designer for CIG. And he's like the most knowledgeable person I've ever talked to. And I was just, I'm a dick.
You didn't know he worked at CIG? You just thought he was a random drunk at the bar?
Well, and he wasn't even that drunk.
Just like random old guy at the bar?
I'm such a dick. I identified as like, no, he's random drunk guy. That's him. It was just, he was, and his brother had introduced him to me earlier, who works at CIG. I'm just an idiot. So I decided I'm an idiot.
It's hard to keep track of people, though, sometimes. Like, really, name to a face and that kind of stuff. I recognize a lot of people in chat, and I recognize a lot of people in the comments. But to actually meet the person in real life,
to get a face to the name, it's
right.
It's weird. And the thing is, like, if you've done it for a long time, like if you've talked to this person or whatever. I remember when I first met Proxys. It was like, because I talked to him every day for like a year and a half, but I'd never seen him before. When I first met him, my brain didn't want to accept it. And it wanted to, because I had an image of what this person looks like in your head.
Close your eyes when you talk to him.
Yeah.
So it's like mumble. Give me a mouse so it's push to talk.
Yeah. It's not... Give me a control key. Someone just put one in front of me for a second. I'm gonna use this rock. I'm gonna use this rock and push it up against the concrete, and I'll pretend it's a key.
The opposite experience with Proxys, because obviously that was the first time I'd met him as well. But I'd seen him on ATV and stuff.
Right.
So across a room, I just went over to hug him.
Right. Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. If you ever get a chance to go on a tour, anyone in chat, go on a tour.
Yes.
If you don't know how to get on a tour, I think you just message CS customer support, and they'll tell you if there's an available tour. They do them rarely.
One that is, yeah.
I would recommend Foundry 42 UK or Frankfurt, because I think that's probably going to have the more game mechanic-y juicy stuff.
But in LA you get to see the doors.
See, LA is like the operation. There's lots going on there, but for me, I like the juicy steak that is game mechanics. I need that like gamey mechaniciness. Oh my god, that's all I want. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a ladybird,
and they're closer to you.
And they're also more proximate.
Yeah, much closer.
What about you, Saurus? What you been up to?
Well, I'll start with I did my first IRL stream this week. We were in for the Twitch Vancouver at EXP here, which we do all the time. The next one's going to be at Monster Cat. A lot of you have probably heard of Monster Cat.
Where's that?
It's here in Vancouver as well. It's for the Twitch Vancouver meetups and stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted to test everything out because I've been getting ready for PAX East, which is coming up. And I have a setup that I can stream from with a GoPro and all this other stuff like... And all this stuff. So I wanted to set that up. I didn't even know I was going to be streaming this night. Otherwise, I would have let people know ahead of time. But I got it to work, and it was just working like right away. So did that. That was a ton of fun. Been playing a lot of Star Citizen and keeping my eyes out for other horror games and things like that. Literally just yesterday, going back to the PAX East thing, booked our hotel for myself and Twerk. So that is all covered. I'm going to be down there for anybody who's watching this. You can tweet at me or message me in Discord or whatever if you want to meet up at all. I'm going to be there from the 9th to the 14th, and I believe Twerk is going to be there from the 10th to the 12th. So I'll be there a couple days long. I'll be there a day before and a couple days after.
You said horror games that you were playing.
Yes.
You were playing Resident Evil, the new expansion pack yesterday, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I played the new expansion pack for Resident Evil. There's a couple other games that I've been looking at as well. And I have a whole list of upcoming games coming out, not only for like normal first-person FPS games, but VR ones as well. So yeah. Just sort of really looking forward to that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Playing 261 Star Marine, which is obviously a lot better. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. Yeah. And yeah, just looking for more stuff to do and messing around with GoPro cameras and streaming and stuff like that. So it should be really fun. I will be IRL streaming live from the PAX floor. So if you can't go or you'd like to see what PAX is going to be like, I'll be tweeting out when I'm going to be going live for that, and you guys can come and check that out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Why don't we jump into some of the news here? Okay. Well, I guess first off, let's just talk about the 261 patch. 261 is fixed. They added some servers. I don't. What is going on? Reload this page. Okay.
I know. That's what I had. That's why I looked confused a second ago.
Mine isn't. Mine's fine.
Okay. Don't.
Oh, good. I'm glad for you.
Okay. I know, right?
Yeah. I just hit the reload thing. I'm like, what is going on? So 261 added servers to Australia and Europe. Now that didn't affect me or Nubifier, but Bored. Have you had a chance to really test those servers yet?
I've got a ping that's not in the hundreds. I got ping of 40 or below.
You have a better ping than I do.
And I would say that it did affect me because there's fewer people from Europe and Australia playing on my server. So I actually...
Our North America... Get out of our North America servers, yo.
Wow.
It's okay.
No, but you know
Pretty
what I mean.
soon our servers will have walls. You won't be able to get
firewalls.
And we'll have to pay for them. Thanks.
Yeah, you will, actually. Yeah.
All the cool kids.
But yeah, no, so 261, they brought in Australian and European servers. Australia especially, they don't really get their own servers for a lot of games, or a server that's close to them. So I know that that's been something they've been really excited about. Also, they brought in some netcode stuff, so the way that the packets are sent out and the message ordering for that has helped Now the latency still, I still think there's a little bit of it here and there, and I still see some freezing and rubber banding, especially on Echo 11. But
I would say it's even worse. But it's just,
I wouldn't say it's worse.
Okay, the frames are better, and yes, everything seems snappier. But when it halts, I find it halts hard, and then it comes back fast.
Yeah.
But I just think that's
well, it used to
them
freeze solid
transferring-
for like minutes at a time before.
Yeah.
And it
But
just
I think
wouldn't do
now what's
anything.
happening is with the new server, it's just growing pains, if that makes any sense, because they've effectively replaced all the back-end hardware.
Yeah, so some of the network code that they planned for 2.6.1, like serialized variables and stuff, has been left out for the next patch because they just didn't have enough time to do it. And I think some of that is essential for what they wanted for the quality of life 2.6.1 patch. So we're still seeing desync with Echo 11, and we're still seeing the jitter like Nubify saying it, and it does kind of, it's sharper. And when there's a client error or there's some sort of client to server problem, it sort of like stops them and then teleports them slightly.
Yeah, it
and
rubber bands them around. If you remember Arena Commander back in the day, when it was like, remember how bad that was? No, that was like 1.4 or something like that.
It was between 1.2 and 1.2 or 1.3. Yeah. It's around that era, and that was hell. That was the rubber band, and then it was Missile Commander. Oh my fuck.
Yeah.
We almost have that again,
but
that's
fuck you,
another
bastard.
discussion.
And then there's been some other changes and things that they've done. They brought in the single player the mega map. Sorry, so you can load. It's really funny because when you go from the hangar to Arena Commander in single player or back the other way, you get a black screen and you hear the sound sort of popping in one at a time, and then it comes in, but you don't get that load screen. You don't have.
I save probably about 3 hours a week
because of that.
From them, because
I believe it.
I mean, it probably is about that amount. Because, oh my fucking god.
Yeah, because the loading screens take a little bit.
It's awesome though.
They take
it's a great optimization step forward, I guess, is what we're. Yeah, it's funny. I've never played a game that has no optimization whatever whatsoever, and then you could gradually see that iterate towards something that's polished. And like 2 years from now, or even like next year, you're gonna laugh at like, even now, like you go back and like Boredgamer is saying about Missile Commander, you go look at the graphics from your old videos, and you're like, what am I looking at? Is this actually Wing Commander? Right? It just looks.
I just listen to my dulcet tones of my voice, to be honest. He
doesn't watch it; he just listens.
It's like...
and they've added a bunch of other stuff as well. Some of it I really like, and some of it not so much, but it is the first implementation of a lot of things.
Or Damien, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. That level is now very good. I don't have any issues with that. That is a very enjoyable, almost polished game.
It's very cool.
If only I could pick that map every time I played.
The fact that they've added the grenade sounds, so you can hear the tinking around,
and UI, and the fact you can see them.
Well, okay, so that's where we're gonna differ a little bit. So. I like the fact that you have grenade markers on your own grenades or your teammates' grenades. I do not like the fact that you have markers on enemy grenades. However, there is a way, and I've talked to some of the CIG guys who've come in chat, Sean Noonan, Luke Presley, even Matt Sherman, even though he has nothing to do with it. I just vent at him. I don't even say anything. I just vent at him. But it's like, what I think... they would like to do, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do this or not, but I don't see why not, is add lights to the grenades, right? So you don't see them, like right now you see the markers through walls and through floors.
Physically see it on the ground.
Yeah, so you have to physically see it or physically listen to it. And then obviously the other thing, though. I call it radar marine right now because everything's all based off of, everything shows for the radar.
Yep.
So the only problem with that is, I mean, that is cool. No military in their right mind would purposely make something easier to see. So it's a game mechanic. I get it.
My argument would be that no military in the right mind would put a tracking thing that the enemy could see a marker where grenades are. Either.
Right. There are two issues here. One of which is they are trying to balance something which is incomplete.
Yeah.
It's
the first implementation.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't want to make that caveat very clear.
They're trying to balance that. So they're trying to balance the fact that the radar sees everything and you see all the grenades and everything without the customization of it having to make choices of loadouts. When in the future, we're going to have to choose different types of grenade, different types of radar, different types of helmet, loads and loads and loads of different choices, which will be like, well, yeah, I can see enemy grenades because instead of having
because I have it on my Moby glass.
Yeah, instead of having like the sound radar, which I can see everyone on, instead I can see UIs of grenades, or I can, or instead of that, I've got a load more kit or something,
or see people talking. That would be another cool one. If the character is transmitting audio to another character, he lights up briefly on the map or something.
Yeah,
I think that would be cool against NPCs, but obviously some people are going to be using Discord.
For me, I think people should be just showing up on the radar. If they're just going to give everybody a radar, I think it should just be when you're firing, you should show up. Or another way they could do it is if they could send out, if you have to send out a manual pulse to do sort of a radar pulse to see what's near you, and it just doesn't stay there. Because I think it takes away a lot from the tactical stuff of what they want to do.
I think it should just be, I think it should just be marked people. I literally think the only people you should be able to see, you should, maybe all allies, and then anyone that you've pressed Q on, or anyone.
Oh, definitely, you should see allies.
Yeah, how Battlefield works. That if you see someone, you identify them, and that's the same as you getting on the radio and giving someone their location briefly.
Yeah, your Moby glass is literally painting them, and I just. But that's again, that's for me. And there's loads of this implementation for radars, for scanning, for painting and stuff that we haven't seen yet. And the CIG probably don't know the full extent of what they want to do yet.
It would be even cool if they made it so the painting thing was an attachment you had to have on your weapon. Or something like that, right?
A meaningful choice to have on a weapon.
Exactly. I was talking about that before. I think we've talked with you guys. And I was saying it could be an ammunition type even. That does less damage, but tracks them. For the entirety that they have that bullet in them, and maybe there's a mechanic where a medic can take that bullet out.
Oh yeah, you could have different types. Like you could have a radiation one, an EM one, or an IR one, and it produces that kind of radiation for your scanner or something. I actually quite like that.
Yeah,
there's some cool stuff they could do.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff. 261, it is out in public for those of you that have sort of taken a step back and haven't checked it out. If you haven't checked it out since 2.6, and that was the last time you played it, I definitely suggest downloading the latest build on public and checking it out, jumping in. It is a lot of fun.
Probably not going anywhere for at least 2 weeks. So it's worth it for those people that have like a download cap.
Yeah, or it takes like a day and a half to download.
Yeah, I've been there.
I'm going to skip down to also Spectrum, because this is something that sort of came with 261. And I'm going to pull it up here, what we have for the organization, and I'm really excited about it. It's a lot better implemented than I had initially thought. But let me pull this up here. So we have... Oh, not found. Okay. So Spectrum. So right now I have it set up. So this is my organization. And you can set up your different threads and stuff like that. And right now, the way that you can filter things is you can filter things through a leadership role. You can filter things through a main members and affiliates role. And I know that, once again, this is a first implementation, but it's a very solid first implementation.
That's cool though, because I didn't even realize that there was a section for affiliates, because my org is locked down as exclusive, which is neat. I was thinking it would be kind of neat if they did that.
So it's cool. So I have like a chat lobby. I have a chat lobby that's main members only. But if you're not a main member, you don't even see it as an option.
Right.
It's not even like, oh, I can see it, but I can't click on it. You can't even see it.
You can smack talk about the other guys in the other channel.
Right.
And we do.
Going into like general chat and stuff like that, you can see, it's very similar to Discord or Slack. Plus, you have all of your official stuff there as well in the Star Citizen public community. They have the forums, and I'm sure all the forums will eventually get transferred over from the website into this. I think is what they want to do going forward, and. This is eventually going to be integrated into the game with voiceover. So it's going to be a web application, a desktop application. I think it's going to be, they're going to package it in with a launcher. That makes the most sense to me. And then it'll also be a phone application. much like Discord is. So it's really cool. Right now, I don't see a ton of people using it quite yet.
Well, there's
because
no reason.
I think there's no real reason to.
No.
But I think that once you see them get integrations into voice and into the game, especially, that's when you're going to see a huge spike in the amount of users that are coming over to it.
Orgs 2.0 and Fleet View. Those are the two tools I think that will make people very interested. Yes, VoIP is important. I don't see voice happening this year in reality because
I think they're closer than you think.
I know, but I meant to take it so that I won't use Discord anymore. That's
yes. Right. There are barriers to entry from literally people just not being asked if something works. That's why you get people that are still on Mumbles, people that are still on TeamSpeak.
Or TeamSpeak,
yeah.
There is some stuff that is slightly better or a bit better.
Or they're just used to it.
Better,
right.
Yeah, but unless that thing is incredibly better, like it has to have huge amounts more functionality and be really useful, or I'm forced to use it for some reason, then I won't change. I just won't change because I'm a lazy mother trucker.
The first time I saw Discord, I stopped paying my TeamSpeak, but it took me a bit to get into it.
Yeah, we had a TeamSpeak before we had Discord.
Right. It took me to see, the redacted Discord. I'm like, wow. And then this is free. And it was the same with Brickyard. Brickyard was using it before I was, and he wanted me to chill with him in his stream. And it was like, oh my God, this is really, really sexy, for lack of a better word. It just looks like now, not 20 years ago. 20. Fucking Windows 3.1. But no.
Windows for work groups.
Windows for work groups, yes. But like I said, as soon as they take the org component out of the old one and put it into the new one where people can actually call it their home, I can actually see people hanging out in there more frequently, using the chat in there, and then most definitely something like Fleet View where I could say, how many ships do I want the public to see, or my org? Maybe I have a Javelin, I don't want anyone to know that, so I could click that one off. And then the org gets an idea of what the whole org has, and that way I know what I should be buying if I'm trying to think about things for my org. Like, no one has an Orion yet. Oh, the next sale comes up, Noobifire is going to buy an Orion because that's something we miss. But if we have 30 of them, obviously, maybe I should go look at something else.
How long will it be, Noob, until someone shares that page with your wife to see how much you've spent on the game?
She knows.
She knows.
Mrs. Noobifire is aware.
She's into it.
That's very.
She's aware of the money pit.
She is. It's not so bad. The account looks like it's got a ton of money put through it because of the contests, and that's what I tell her.
Yeah, that's what I tell her. And it's like,
smart man.
That 20,000 is not. It's just the patron backers.
Yeah,
just kidding, it's not that.
Those capital ships were significantly more cheaper at one point. Honestly,
yeah.
I swear.
They went on sale.
That was when the game first came out. It's like $30.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
$30. They were free when you backed.
Yeah, why not?
Anyways,
yeah, so
lies confirmed in 3.0.
Going back to Spectrum, it was seen in the PTU. I didn't really check. I like popped into it really quickly, but it is something that they're going to be able to update quicker than we're going to see patches in Star Citizen. And I think somebody was saying, one of my viewers in my mod chat in Discord, or in my sub chat in Discord, speaks French and was in the French channel. And Noobifire, I'm sure you understand it as well. That's where all the guys, the turbulent guys, are, because they all speak French. So they were saying stuff like they want to try and get, and this is me going through someone else translated. So through the French thing, that they want to get builds out like once a week or once every 2 weeks for Discord or for Spectrum. So I think we're going to start to see a lot of movement on that.
Little changes. And it's true. As soon as it's launched, okay, I'm not saying that there was no push or reason to make it before. Obviously, there was a big push. And I'm sure they spent hours and hours in meetings trying to figure out exactly what buttons are going to look like and how everything wants to work. But now that it's there, I can, like you say, I can see them iterating on it, and just because it's not like you have to download it. It's a web app. So whatever change they make on the back end, you'll see as soon as you launch it the next time, right? So I think it has a lot of potential to be interesting to watch that develop as well as the game.
Yeah. I mean, At the moment, it needs functionality for me.
Oh, it
doesn't have
definitely needs
functionality.
more.
I mean,
It
that's a given.
It
That's
needs
a given.
more for
There's
sure.
nothing.
But from where it started, it's been really awesome. And it's really cool to sort of see what kind of things they may integrate into that later on, right? Like, we know that it's going to be an in-game communications board. So we're probably going to see a job board included in that. We may see some of the store stuff.
It could become the offline Mobiglass. It could be your portable version of a Mobiglass.
I think that's what a lot of us are hoping for. We're hoping for some automation of Star Citizen via the app, shopping through the app, stuff like that.
The Galaxy map and all of that stuff as well, right? That they could bring in and pull it into that.
And also people being able to load mods and APIs and stuff into it. And hopefully, eventually, we're going to get a whole selection of modding tools and the APIs available to us so that we can do crazy stuff. If they can also integrate that with Spectrum, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things that they could do with it. Once again, that we're starting to see the rollout of some of the really cool stuff for the first time into Star Citizen. So it's something I'm really looking forward to, more than I expected to be looking. Like I was looking forward to it, but not as much as I am now that I've actually seen it. And they've done a good job. It runs smoothly. It works great. The only problem is if you try and open Spectrum on I've found on my OnePlus 3T, I can't open it. It just says they can't find it.
Nope.
But that's something that'll get fixed over time. Moving forward, we saw the Prospector.
Oh my God, did we ever?
Yeah.
That video came out exactly at the right time because I was looking for video footage of mining, and it was not there isn't any. So Athagen let me use all of his stuff, which was really nice. And then that dropped, and I'm like, mining video is a go because it was exactly what I needed. So thank you, CIG. It's like you did it just for me.
It looked really cool, like the industrial. I like how it had that same sort of feel like the Starfarer does. Once again, you can tell by the cockpit. It's like a baby little Starfarer freelancer that has like all the cockpit has the same shape, even though the window's bigger. Yeah. It's got that same like helmet visor shape, and then you have all the trusses and everything in the back, and it's just very industrial looking. It looks really cool.
Well, they did a good job because if you look at the Reliant, the view that you would get from the Reliant by the way the chair is, they've almost carbon copied that. Literally, that you're sitting in space and you could look down and all you see is your feet. I think it's going to be surreal to do that. I think it's going to be one of the nicer to fly ships. I'm not saying like take it out, like exploring with it, like a runabout or something.
But going through like an asteroid field mining and stuff like that.
For sure. And your essay, if they include like Track AR, VR, being able to actually look around like that is going to be really, really good. So definitely a good feature.
Yeah, no, it looks, and what they're showing here is like the damage states on the interior and stuff like that.
And the blanket is back.
Yeah, the blanket.
That's the captain's blanket.
I'm gonna call it.
Just sell that in the store.
I'm gonna call that the MISC blanket because they have that in the Starfarer as well.
Yeah.
I don't know where else they have that, but it's definitely in the MISC. So really cool stuff. We know that Tony Z and Chris are gonna be talking about cargo and mining this week. I think that's going to be on ATV. I'm not 100% sure. If it's on ATV, that's going to be tomorrow at around 1 p.m. Pacific. So what do you like? I know Bored. I know you're looking a little bit forward to some of the mining stuff just because of the economy things.
What do you mean looking forward to it? It's going to be. I need economy, man.
Yeah.
Economy is what I play for. I don't play for the fucking combat. I get shooting stuff. Yeah, well done. I'll play the imagination game. Yeah, 22-6. Woo, I'm the best. Just write it down on a bit of paper and flash it up on my screen. No, I'm in it for the economy. I want the fake numbers to appear on my screen. Telling me how much money I've got.
He doesn't want the damage numbers. He wants to see the money numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about the economy and the industry and the motivations for combat because of that. I don't see combat for combat's sake a thing unless you're playing Arena Commander. The Resistant Universe for me is all about economy, all about industry, and the silly things that you can do with that. And mining, oh my God, I'm excited for mining. I mean, I'd mine for hours and hours in Original Eve. In Rust, I probably did about 2 hours of mining today. like the day before, I was up until 5 a.m. mining for hours and hours. I love it. Fucking love mining. So, yeah,
now, my question to you is going to be, what do you think the major, other than the amount of players doing it, what do you think the major differences are going to be in between something like the Orion and the Prospector for mining?
So,
like,
yeah.
Oh, I can maybe talk on that one. So, like I did in the video, you've got all these different jobs on the Orion. The Prospector, you're going to be able to do all of those yourself, with the exception, as I was corrected, refining. I was wrong in the video, just to correct. Prospector, you will be able to collect and sift, but you won't be able to refine it down to a final product. So there was that there. But for me, the Prospector is your solo ship, and I can actually see it working with an Orion, like a bunch of prospectors. They'll go out and pick up the little stuff while the Orion just tackles hammering on a big rock, right? Like getting into the core of it, whereas the Prospector can do the surface. So I like the fact that they've made it so that one doesn't replace the other. One's not a bigger version of the other. They both work in the same job, but they're not the same as far as capability is concerned, because the Orion can't land and can't get the little stuff, which is fantastic. And I wish they would do that for every single, like the chop shop, every single
all the different
thing
roles
in the verse should have a reason, and you shouldn't have just a shittier version of the big one. You should have something that offers something unique. Right. And I like it.
For me, very much so, the Orion is a big strip miner, which just goes chomp, chomp, chomp. I'm going to eat all of that.
And it does I think it does asteroids at a time.
Yeah, it will just munch down whole asteroids. You go, that's kind of got what I want in it. But with the Prospector, obviously, you're just targeting the most valuable resources on that asteroid. You're landing on it. You're able to get into significantly more dense asteroid fields into the center of it without having to munch all the asteroids, whatever. You just go, I want that diamond asteroid in the center. And you can do that with the Prospector. But the fact that you can land on planets with it, it's a whole different ballgame. You're able to exploit resources on a planet or on a large asteroid in a totally different way, and the Orion just might not be able to do that in a lot of cases.
So, do you think that you'll be able to mine on a planet?
Yes, I do.
And then, so that would be something that an Orion just can't, because they're not going to allow you to mine a whole planet and strip it
I don't think
down.
the Orion can land. I don't think it can. I don't think it's going to be in a hangar, and I don't think you'll ever see it landed on something. Right. And especially with the rotating things, unless they fold up or something.
Yeah, I could see it docking to a space station, but I don't see it landing.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they implement the way that mining works on planets and on larger asteroids. So say I find a site on a planet, which is like, this is really good for mining for the Prospector. Is that site a permanent site? Is it a degradable site, as in once it's been mined, it goes? Will it change when I re-log in? I mean, is it just almost instantized effectively for my Prospector? I mean, there's a lot of stuff there, because if it degrades, you're not going to want to sell the information. If it doesn't degrade, you're going to want to sell the information because, well, I can use this, so can everyone else. I'll sell the hell out of it before someone else sells it. So that it's going to be interesting to see how they go. This is mining. This is how it works. Does it disappear? Does it stay here? Whatever. Does it regenerate?
Well, we're definitely going to see it. Like someone, I forget, sorry, your name, said it's 10 for the chair that the mining and cargo is coming out on, not on around the verse.
Okay. So they're going to do it 10 for the chairman. I mean, I think that's what it was as well. That's why I wasn't sure.
No, it makes more sense to be on that type of thing. But yeah, as far as mining surface, you also have to consider that we don't have any land vehicles yet. There's nothing stopping them from, well, no, actually the Orion document had a thing that would go in a walk on asteroids and rip them apart. So it'd be interesting if they did something like that on a larger scale.
About the spider miner.
Yeah, that's
not for the Orion. The spider miner is
its own thing.
Okay, but I guess the theme of what I'm getting at is we're not done. I mean, Boredgamer, you said it yourself. There's ships that we have not seen yet or even heard of, right? NDA, triangles everywhere. But
who knows?
There's nothing stopping them from making a terrestrial-based vehicle that does nothing but mining. And it's basically a big pickup truck with like a Zamboni. For those of you that aren't Canadian, you may not know what a Zamboni is, but Google it. It's awesome. And you can get arrested in Canada if you drive a Zamboni through Tim Hortons and get a coffee. That's been confirmed.
Don't do well. They're not road legal, so well. They're not road legal, so
not yet. I'm working on that.
You're working on getting.
It's
a road
an
legal
ice-free surface, sir.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it melts the top layer of the ice so it's smooth.
It makes perfect ice.
Yeah.
For hockey.
For hockey, no doubt about that, eh, bud?
It's fucking real shit.
I'm speaking Canadian. Let me translate with Google Translator.
It doesn't work.
Quick shout out to Clifford, who was on this week's Happy Hour with Will Weisbaum and everyone. This is a newer segment that Star Citizen has been doing, and you see Jared down there all glowy, where they bring on a content creator and someone from CIG staff, and they just talk about Star Citizen and a bunch of other stuff. And Will Weisbaum talked about a bunch of stuff. So Noobifier, I'm going to let you take that because I can only see the video here.
Yeah, so they were talking, one of the questions that came to mind or that stuck out for me was that a question specific to the Carrack was asked. The question was, is it being worked on? The answer was no, but we should see it this year, which is exciting. And again, you always think about when you see a concept sale, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to see that in 3 or 4 years. It's true, but I've been waiting so long for the Carrack that any news about it is super exciting. And that gets into back into exploration mechanics and that type of thing. So I do like the segment. I like the 1 hour kind of chill environment where they take questions from the content creator. They kind of grill the content creator a little bit too, throw them off. So it's neat to see, in this case, Miku out of his natural environment is friendly stream.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. And of course, questions to Will, obviously good, and they were recaptured on that week for the not happy hour. What's it? Citizens of the Stars, where he was also. So he's basically been in the hot seat twice, and as a writer, that's he's a very interesting person to hear from, right? As that guy.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Now, was it him that mentioned something about the Carrack?
No, I don't think it was specifically. Yeah.
Okay, I think I read that somewhere else, and I'm mixing it up.
Yeah.
Then. But yeah, so overall, a really cool segment, and huge shout out to Clifford for doing that, because he's now streaming over on Beam, and he's definitely the first. I think he's the only Star Citizen Beam streamer.
Yeah, Jared specifically said that he is the pioneer, and that he's, when Jared asked Clifford about that, he's like, "Yep." He's like, "I've decided to go and pioneer over on Beam to try to get, fight the good fight and get the word out about Star Citizen over there too," which is kind of cool.
What Will did say in his quantum questions, though, was about the hurricane.
Right, that's what I was mixing up. So that's what I was thinking of. So we are going to see, and that's a good segue into talking about what we know about the hurricane. So we know it's going to be a glass cannon. We know it's going.
Will Weisbaum seems to think it was a glass cannon.
Yeah, but I mean, he's pretty reliable as far as knowledge. He's there more than I am.
This is.
I always have a problem with people's interpretation of glass cannons in Diablo 3. So I mean,
I'm just gonna say I feel like Bored has insider information he's not leading on to, and that's okay. So, I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna say what we do know is it's alluded to be more of a glass cannon. It's made by Anvil, correct?
Yep.
Maybe.
It's a heavier or heavily armored or weaponized ship.
Gun heavy ship. But
so
not armored.
It's going on sale.
The original concept blurb was that it was supposed to be it was going to be the second tier starter ship that the Misk Reliant actually won in the vote. And it was actually the least popular ship at that vote with only 11% of the vote. And it was supposed to have a load of small bore ammunition and guns, lots of like
smaller weapons. Yeah.
That it could then change. It was supposed to be like really custom and modular for its weaponry, and it was supposed to be a heavy for militia.
But it's an older ship too, isn't it?
Maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, the original document was
We assume
calling
it is.
it, yeah. So I'm expecting something along the lines of a Buccaneer, where it's kind of low tech compared to a Saber, very well armed, definitely scary, but you know that it just doesn't have the tech of the newer, sexier ship or the more expensive ship.
I don't want another light or medium fighter. We've got fucking
No.
millions of
We
them.
definitely
I
need.
want-
No, something that's surprising with this as well, and I want to get this out before I lose this train of thought, is normally we would have a price for it because this is going on sale on Friday,
Yes.
Yeah.
and we don't have a price for it
No
yet.
price.
So what I want to know, what are you guys thinking? It's hard to tell because I don't know how big this ship is. I
I'd have
assume
to
it's
see
a
what it
single
looks
seater.
I do know that CIG always tries to make the value of the ship in line with something else to not make others irrelevant. Like the Buccaneer almost did it there at $110. It was very strong for a $110 ship. And I know that caused a lot of issues with the Hornet pilots because they're like, well, why would I own a Hornet if I can buy this and it has a size 4 mount?
And
The simple answer-
what is the Buccaneer? The Buccaneer's a glass cannon.
The Buccaneers
Oh yeah,
class
trust
cannon
me.
as well.
Yeah. And no, that's cool. It balanced out. But when you first saw it, if all you went to do is read the quick description and went and look at the stats, you're like, size 4, and all these extra guns and everything. It just struck out as like, this thing is going to be a Super Hornet killer, and it can't be, right? It can't be at $80 or $70 real money less. So what I'm hoping is that it comes out and that it makes financial sense. And I hate talking about money when it comes to ships and equals value, because I know that it's not going to be that once the game goes live.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, so that they don't make the store OP, for lack of a better word, they have to always make sure that what you're getting for your pledge equals your pledge, or else it's just going to piss people off, and they would be better to not launch the ship.
I want to put out
They were
the
gonna do
thing as well that you'll be able to earn all of this stuff in game.
Yes, 100%. Like there's no
Right.
reason to go out and buy it. And I even tested that out in that video that I talked about earlier, the new citizen guide managing expectation. I hadn't flown a starter ship in forever, and I wanted to see the perspective of a new pilot joining and trying hard not to spend any extra money. Is it possible? And I proved that it is, but you do have to grind.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah, but if you're not going to want to play the game,
Oh no.
then I mean, it's always worth getting the starship, then trying to grind to the next ship. Because if you're not enjoying the core gameplay, and I know we don't have too much core gameplay yet, because we're in an alpha game that is literally being built around us based on our feedback. It's not gameplay rich. Is it really? I understand that, but if you're not enjoying the combat and you're not enjoying the game, if you're not enjoying any form of grinding, maybe not.
So there's a problem with the enjoyment of it. It's a starter ship. Everyone, like Source, you just did it, and I do it to everyone too, and I know BG, you do it. You just say all you need is a starter ship. The guy gets the starter ship, and he goes into Battle Royale, and he doesn't even know what direction to aim, and he's killed 6 times before the game's over, and he leaves. He says, "Fuck it, I'm out of here. This is stupid."
But
So-
And then it spends
on the
$1,000 on a better ship to win.
on the same token, that would be like jumping into a game you've never played and
For
jumping straight into ranked matches.
Call of Duty, I know,
Yeah.
and that I get it, but people do it, and I'm not saying they're dumb. I'm just saying that it's not intuitive, because that was the whole point of the video, was really that if you know someone who's starting out, give them that video, and it fully lays out. Like I said, this is Battle Royale, and this is, Squadron Battle. These may not be where you want to. You won't have fun in here, right? Unless you are a really good player.
Star Citizen needs that tiny bit of signposting, not from our end, not from a content creator's point of view, but from their end. Just a little bit of start the fuck here.
Yeah.
Like, don't jump into PvP because you're going to get wrecked, son.
Take your Aurora MR, and you didn't even bother to load guns
You're
on
going-
it because you were in the
even though
hangar,
it's-
and you took the guns
Well,
off.
and
now
even
you're-
though it's a game that's in early access, essentially, and alpha, there are players that have been playing for 2+ years of this game,
yeah.
right?
you will get destroyed.
Yeah.
The people that are in Battle Royale are in there all the time. There's no casuals really in there, and if they are, they're there for 5 seconds and then get pissed off and leave. So I guess the reality is I'm a simple man, and I'm a single person. I really need other people's help. Other citizens, if you know there's a guy out there, you tell the guy, here, go buy a starter pack. You have to go help him. You can't just let him sit there and and get pissed off with the game and leave. You do what you should do is get him into Discord and talk him through the whole process, because that's actually what the game needs, is clarity, and it doesn't do it by itself.
Don't want to talk to him. If you don't want to talk to him yourself, you can just send him to mine or Noobifire's channel.
Yeah,
talking for you. We do all that for
you. I know, but even on my channel, I know that there is content that I should be making, which I'm not, because the game changes all the time. Like new citizen guide in there, I don't talk anything about flying because I'm expecting it to change, and that's the shitty part. But in the video, I do specifically say, go find the biggest org out there, get in their Discord, and find out if anyone's willing to help you, and then that's the org you want to hang out with. Like that's what the game really needs. It needs that. The community's great, but it needs to foster new citizens that are going to get confused, and that's where the bad press and all the negativity might come from. So anyways,
now moving forward, CIG also has a new community manager,
yes.
In addition to Tyler.
Second Tyler.
To Tyler and Jared, also known as Disco Lando, is Tyler Nolan. And here I have his Twitter here. You can go say hello and give him a warm welcome to the Star Citizen community. Now my question to you is, what kind of roles do you see them needing? I don't disagree with this, by the way. I really like the idea of more community management. I think that's something that they need to beef up. But what kind of things are we expecting to see from this new community manager, as opposed to right now we're getting a lot of, like Jared, for example, does a lot of the content stuff, like the different shows and things like that. And you see that because he's in most of the new shows, like the Citizens of the Stars and Happy Hour and things like that.
Well, we see a lot of the devs getting involved with the community from our point of view. So they talk to streamers, they talk to YouTubers, they get involved, they tweet and everything. I want a very involved social media kind of
someone that you can tweet at and ask questions.
Too, right?
So, I want him to tweet. I want him to come onto the YouTubes. I want him to come onto the Twitches, and I want him to get involved with that kind of community, this more social media and Twitch communities as they're happening. That's what I want. If they've got enough time to do that, that's great, because that gives you a down-to-earth view of how your game is at any one time. You literally get a cross-section of the community.
And it's good to get feedback through that as well, right? Because, we have Matt Sherman's in here all the time. We get Sean Noonan or Luke Presley or whoever in here all the time, but it's like they're busy doing their job. It's not their sort of thing. Like they come in here and they like being here and all that other stuff. But it's like, I want to see, I want to see some changes to FPS. It's like, Matt Sherman works on ships. So
that's the issue councils for that too, though. I mean, I know it's easy because they're accessible right now. Like, I want this fixed, but
I'm just saying, like, it would be nice to have that interface with that kind of stuff. And Captain Zylo and Disco Lando, in their own element, they're doing an awesome job at what it is that they're doing. But it would be nice to see more of this. And I know that they try and do that, and they get a lot on their plate. And so it's nice to see them beef up the community like this. For sure.
For example, the interview that was a couple of weeks ago, that was actually 11 o'clock my time. And I know that, that Jared was at work well after working hours, piecing that thing together. So I know we're third community manager definitely needed just by that. So example, you got Tyler flies over to the UK to cover something special. That's downtime. That's going to effectively leave a void in Texas or wherever he should be working from at that time. And that's going to go on to Lando or vice versa. So having the third foot on the ground is fantastic just because of the global nature of the community. One guy can fly out to see BritizenCon without impeding the regular stuff, right? The person can make that presence felt there, and he's recognizable, and he's for the community and everything like that. I see a really good possibility of getting more in depth into the, like you say, into social media and on the forums, because the forums is difficult to track, I'm sure by now, because it's just expanded into everything. We went from having 300 citizens to potentially 50, 60,000 people looking at that all the time. So the traffic, the volume is insane.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they have
I
a
mentioned
third
it would
person.
be, it would be hard to keep up.
Yeah, because it's expanded for sure.
Can you imagine when like Squadron 42 or 3.0 goes live, their player base is going to fucking skyrocket. They haven't got nearly enough community management.
Well, how much back end does a place like Blizzard have, for example? They must have
huge.
Well, that's what I mean. So 3 is
well, also remember
enough,
that Blizzard is a full studio with multiple games and with all games that are complete.
But I'm just saying,
they're also more focused at areas of community management. So you'll have someone
they haven't broke down
job is to
into different
other
I was just using as an example of saying, that we have 3 people doing the job that could potentially be seen in another company as being 10, 15, 20 people.
Yes, totally agree.
So hats off to the community team, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For doing it.
Yeah, so huge shout out to Tyler Nolan. Welcome. This week on Bug Smashers, they were fixing player movement and some stuff with the Gladius and whatever. I think this is going to apply to all ships. Really quickly, I just want to show this and go over it. Right now, what happens is when you go to open your ship, it opens your ship, and then no matter where you are, you can run the opposite direction. It'll snap you back and then put you back on. So this is changing those into 2 actions. One, opening the ship, and then the second one is going back and then doing that action, right? Which is really cool because it's something that needs to be done. Because
you open the car door and then get in. You don't just open the car door and get sucked into the
automatically
car.
Yeah, and the other thing too is it's good. Like if, for example, I spawn a ship out, right, and I want to give it to Nubifier, he can't do anything until I make an action on it. And if it's a single player seater ship, and I open it, I got to go in, then I got to go out, and it's just whatever. This way you can just open it up and somebody else can get in. Or if you open it up and you get distracted, you're not stuck in that animation and you can defend yourself, because right now you wouldn't be able to do that.
You're locked in that
You're
motion.
locked into that, and you wouldn't be able to pull out a weapon and shoot and stuff like that.
A good takeaway though from this also was that the reason that video existed was once you're in, the physics engine was still calculating all of your inputs.
Right.
And what I think his name is Mark. What Mark was able to do is as soon as you get in and you sit down, it releases all of that, and your motion doesn't move your character anymore. That's done by inertia, and you're locked in the chair, so your field of view shouldn't deviate or clip, and it's going to reduce the load on the physics engine, which is frames. It's just perfect. It's getting back to this whole idea of optimizing. So it's
there's
nice to
also see that. I think it's a joke Easter egg in the code where it says to need a way to insert the player into an anti-mutex volume for Star Citizen 4.0 release as the microwave keeps sucking all the air out of the player's suit. I think that's just a joke for anybody who looks into that too deeply.
If I worked there and I knew people were taking pictures of my whiteboard, you would not believe this.
Well, this isn't the whiteboard. This is right in the code, and they knew that they were showing it.
I would be trolling everybody all the time, like, work on new quad-seater fighter with 6 guns.
Yeah. Yeah, so really cool. As always, I really like
someone that actively tries to find whiteboards when they're in office tours. I hope that's not the case.
And I could put a whiteboard up in my streaming room, but no one would listen to me.
Yeah.
This has been leaked by Boredgamer. He's the only one that knew about the microwave explosion lies.
They found the leak. They found the leak.
Toilet reverser.
They found the leaks.
Oh, the toilet reverser bug.
What?
Yeah. What? You should just go next.
Bored, actually, talking about your things like that, you have the PC Gamer Weekender Q&A overview, and I have a video here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the PC Gamer thing, what that was about, because that just happened, right? This was on the weekend?
Yeah, so PC Gamer had a gaming expo, basically, over the weekend in the London Olympia. CIG were there talking about Star Citizen and ran a Q&A session on the Saturday and Sunday. It wasn't, so the stuff they did there was basically talking about the basics of the game and explaining it to new players. And the questions and answers session wasn't much that we haven't heard before, really.
Right.
So it was nothing really new. It was talking mainly about the newer stuff with outposts and planetary stuff, and it's all stuff that we've had before, really. To be honest, it was cool though. I think they did pretty well there. We were expecting them to do a actual little on-stream interview with PC Gamer, but I think PC Gamer had a scheduling issue and was probably down to their end this time, because Lando mentioned in the
I think it was something that they didn't confirm, right? It was something that PC Gamer said was going to happen, and then I read something that it wasn't confirmed, and they just ran out of time or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I know that the CIG people were ready to go and everything there, because Lando was like, "We are doing it. It was just a scheduling problem. We're ready to do it," sort of thing. And I think that that was their stream was jam packed with stuff. The PC Game one, so I just think they ran out of time, probably, maybe.
I'm just going to take this time to remind everybody, I just put the link in chat. If you have any questions, fill out that form, and we will get to them at the end of the podcast. If you have one for myself or Bored or Noob or all of us, feel free to get those in there. Yeah. And moving forward, we have the little things from ATV. Well, on last Thursday from the UK. The first thing they showed, and I am a fan of this, is the Drake Dragonfly damage states.
Yeah.
Man, it looked cool. And like how something dropped off and how it would you could see that it was supporting the weight of it. So it dropped down. And
so I liked it because it was very close. Like normally you see damage states from a distance and it looks great.
Yeah.
But the fact that the guy was right there shooting at it and it was coming apart in a, what I would say, realistic, it's next level. Normally in a video game, you shoot a car and it just changes to black and explodes. But this, you're actually losing pieces, which are fantastic, because then you could think that will play into the repair mechanic, because you'll have to fix the exact piece that fell off.
Yeah. No, the damage states are...
To me, it looks like each of the components, each of the engines was an individual System 2.0 component that had a health of its own.
Like
so
each one of the thruster legs?
Yeah, so it would fall off when it hit that particular damage level, and probably would still fly even with one engine on it, I'm assuming.
I don't know if it would be able to fly on the ground. With three of them, it would be able to be on the ground.
Sure,
but if you lost because when you look in the two front drop off, you see the nose just shovel into the ground, right?
Well, I'm hoping if you blow off the back ones when you're trying to shoot it as it's running away, that you will be able to blow the two back ones off and it will just drag in the sand and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So does this mean that it's almost flight ready? Does this mean that we're getting
it's been confirmed that it's been ready for a while. The problem is there's no reason to implement it right now, because you won't really be able to use it until 3.0. So we know that it is coming with 3.0.
It will just be a load of bugs with people trying to transport them in quantum drive in the persistent universe now.
Just bouncing around the back of your stuff.
Oh, fucking dragonflies are broken. That's what it'll just be a giant concern thread. Yeah.
Need a refund.
What I really love about the damage states is the gubbins and the interior damage. So they have layers inside each of their shells. They're not just empty shells. They have gubbins and wires, and in some case it is the piping system and important other components that will get damaged when you shoot through. And I just love seeing the bullet holes go through there. If it was an acid weapon, you'd see a burn hole, and if it was a laser weapon, you see the heat damage.
And then the sparks and the smoke and the fire, and it really looks good.
No, the damage check is always impressive. Yeah. Moving on to the new Stanton 4 map, I guess it is that they showed, with all the different trading hubs and orbits and everything. Was pretty cool. I have a video for this as well. And you can see this is, I think, a basic block out of, everything that's in that orbit around that stuff and where that orbit's around for that planet and everything, and how that's all going to move out. And you see your different areas where there's gas and fuel and things like that as well out there. I thought that was really cool how they showed that.
Things were actually labeled trading hub. And we're normally playing in this little piece, like the whole universe we have right now is that. And now we're looking at a big, like a proper place to play in. And with things labeled like that, of course, you fall into that trap of the Easter egg. But Trading Hub makes sense because 3.0, all that, we're supposed to get that type of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see it in text on a video, I guess. It's confirmation.
Yeah, for sure. And then moving forward, we also saw the new space stations, or some of the new ones. And this is built with their modular tech that they were working on before. They've showed us a little bit of this before.
They seem to have developed somewhat from the blocky super white
they polished them even more so and are sort of showing us the differences with that right here. And they even show you there's a Starfarer somewhere, I think.
It's
and
like
you
this
can
little
it's if we pause it and I bring it back just
well, did you think they were showing the Starfarer there because that might have been a fueling station?
It could be. I think they were mostly doing it for the scale of what these satellites are going to look like. Now, what's interesting?
That thing's 4 kilometers tall. If that's, it's awesome.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see that these aren't necessarily. These look like Comrays to me, or similar to like a Comray style. Now they all have the majority of them have like a large satellite or multiple satellites on the top. But yeah, will be interesting to sort of see how they continue on this tech and everything with the satellites, and with the different space stations that are coming out. I'm really looking forward to exploring the different types of them and whatever. And here you can see them blocking something out and building it and showing how the parts can just be snapped together and everything's sort of modular and fits together.
I was just going to say that. It's the great thing. So everyone who has hung out in Korea knows the internal layout.
Yeah.
This here, what we really need is a diversity strong enough that you don't know.
I think a better example would be all the Comrays right now are the exact same.
Okay.
This would be something where, because there's only one Korea, right? But with the Comrays, they're all the exact same. This would make it so the Comrays may be different, or different security posts will feel different, and things like that as well.
But
be different sizes.
When he was dropping those little buildings down, I'm assuming that the internals are done, so they don't have to detail every single component. It kind of a fit and finish, and then it like snaps where it should be. And because the metrics are done, because I know we're working with metrics now, that a person could go click, 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 click. Here's your new, station 62, and it goes out and it's pretty much complete. And then they start to work on a variation of it, like 63, 64, so that throughout the galaxy you won't ever have 1,500 Koreas all identical to each other, which would be lame.
I do think in some situations that it's good to have a uniform of, obviously in the Stanton system, a lot of the stuff there's going to be similar in some way.
Right.
And I like the fact that with the Comrays that they're all identical, because to me it feels like they were all built at the same time by the same contractor. Now, obviously that's not the case for everything, and some stuff going to have different functions, different purposes, built by different people, all that sort of stuff. But for the Comrays specifically in the Stanton system, I like the way they look, and I'm glad they're kind of identical.
Well, at the same time, they've said that there's going to be different sizes of Comrays as well. So there will be some variation, but I don't think you're going to see as a wild a variation as you will in between security stations or from different planets, from one planet's Comrays to another planet's Comrays, or one systems to another's. They may have different variations on that because they're being built by a different company or whatever. But yeah, it looks really interesting. Moving forward, we also have they did a huge ship shape. And they did it on the Super Hornet and kind of the Hornets as well, on where they sort of started from, how it came, and Chris was there talking about it, how they started with the CG bot and outsourcing that to bring that in and updating it all the way back from 2012 for that initial pitch video, all the way up to today, 2017, where we now have more modernized and more polished version of that Super Hornet. So it's been really interesting to see, like, when you're watching this, all the different HUDs that sort of went through, the different attention to detail. Like, you can tell what ones here are like they didn't have the PBR and stuff like that as well. Yeah, just the different stuff, and it looks
in.
really cool. And it was cool to hear the history about that.
Well, I think it's good thing to mention that the updates to ships for like the Super Hornet and stuff, these are updates that happen to all Super Hornets. They're not different versions of the same ship. It is a visual update. There will, however, in the future be different versions of the same ship in the verse. So you will have like a 2947 Aurora, but also you could in 5 years' time have a 2953 Aurora, and they would be two models of the same ship, which would coexist in the universe, but be different because they've been updated in some way, whether that be technology-wise or whatever. But that's not an in-engine change; that's a in-law game change. You see what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
The new one, the way they redid the ball turret and everything like that, it just looks like the future. The other one, not to take away from the original Kickstarter video, it looked like 5 years ago, which is good. And even Chris said, he's like, I'm looking at the old model, saying, shit, I used to really think that was the top of the game, and now look what we've got. So it's a testament to the artists, really, of pushing very hard to get something that looks realistic, and not only that, it works. Like that's the one thing that struck me about the Caterpillar, is everything inside is designed to be optimized for function, which is it's nice. It's nice. It adds to the realism of the whole experience of playing.
Definitely. And then last but not least from ATV, we had an interview with Mike Jones and some of the other network engineers talking about the multi-region servers and how that's going to work. Now, a lot of that stuff was way over my head. But for those that do understand it, and I know we have a lot of IT people in the Star Citizen community and stuff like that do understand a lot of this stuff, it was really interesting when they talked about load sharing, timing, balance, and things like that. But they even had like the layouts like this, where they're talking about game virtual machines, which is DGS, and core virtual machines, and all of this other stuff. And I liked how they tried their best to sort of explain that to us and how that I think sort of works.
The important stuff that I've learned about Star Citizen over the last few months in regards to networking that's important for people to know is that they're on AWS, the Amazon Web Services, which will be scalable and powerful to whatever they want to do. They're moving into the Star Network version 1, hopefully for 3.0, which is the low-level rework of the networking, which will also allow, or is at least a step towards, server latticing, which will enable up to
Does that mean it's
players.
A series of tubes?
It's a series of servers connected together that are
via tubes.
Areas.
Via
tubes. Why not?
Tubes.
Excellent.
And that the servers, I believe, at the moment are 30 tick, and they're trying to get more players in before they get high tick rate, if they even need to increase tick rate. But that's the important stuff that I know from networking that the layman will want to know. The other stuff is just sort of like them talking about cool things, but it's no tangible information for me.
The one takeaway I liked about it, though, is because as a first-person shooter, we're always looking for the lowest latency. So I'm looking for the local server, and it doesn't make any sense that you could play a global game, right? That it would everyone would just suck. But what it seems that if I understand it correctly, I might be really close to the server, but the server knows that, and it'll. I'm not going to say add latency, but it's going to balance. That's the word I'm looking for. It's going to bring my experience up a little bit so that I'm par with someone else. So we all have the same collective latency, and that would make the game not desync and run smooth and everything like that. So it's so appealing to watch this video and say, oh my God, they do have a plan. Like obviously they have a plan, and from my perspective, I know nothing about it. It's just very cool to see that there is a solution, because it's one of those things you stop and think. You're like, well, how is this actually going to work? And it will. They're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in all, it's really cool. I'm looking forward to all of the hopeful leaps and bounds that they're going to make, starting with the Star Network when it comes out, and it definitely sounds like it's going to be headed in the right direction for sure.
Yeah.
Now that's it for the content that we have for this. So if anybody has any questions, we're going to jump over to questions now. With this, also, Good news is I just got a message from Zero Gravity, which is the guys for
Hellion?
Hellion. Yes.
Mm.
So I just need to tell them that I need those keys for you guys really quick. You guys are getting to see me work while I'm doing the podcast. Okay. So we're going to go for the first question. And if you guys want to answer it while I'm responding to this email, the first one is from Hellstem. And he says, with ships rebalancing taking place currently, do we know if CIG are arbitrarily assigning ship speeds and maneuverability, or are they changing the amount of thrust the default equipped thrusters and engines generate, or the mass of the craft? So basically, he's talking about, are they adjusting the actual ship, or are they adjusting the components? If you guys have no idea, or as you say, not devs, or he says, I get that you guys don't have any idea, and we're not devs, but just wondering if this kind of information is available or not. And he says, always looking forward to the podcast. So thank you so much for coming and watching the podcast. We really appreciate it. But yeah, I'll let you guys take that over.
So for me, I think they're just changing the numbers on the ships at the moment. I mean, they're trying to get balance right. I'm not a massive fan of the balance in 2.6.1 for flight at the moment. I want them to change it in 2.6.2 again because it's too close. You'll feel the same, don't you, Noob? You don't like the balance at the moment for flight.
So what I noticed is like between 2.6.0 and 2.6.1, Malagos does keep this spreadsheet, and I'm sure most of the people that are competitive are aware of the spreadsheet, and it's the raw numbers from the game. So it's kind of, instead of just saying the ship feels like it's faster, you can actually go look and you see that the number is physically different. So what to answer the question, I believe it's twofold. You can change the top speed of the ship by a governor. So the Sabre is now quicker than the Super Hornet, which is the way it was sold, which is good. That is a step in the right direction. The Vanguard is now Space Ballerina, etc. It's all these things are very good, but they are affecting change not only by changing thruster output, but by changing mass and where the mass is, and then also the final cut is the governor. So the top speed, the ship will accelerate up to a speed and then stop at something because of the governor. The governor. That doesn't mean that the ship isn't capable of going faster, because obviously, you hit afterburner, and then it's like it took the afterburner or the governor off. I hope that goes in the game. That would be awesome. So hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, I mean, there's like he said in the question. I mean, the most we can do is speculate. Matt Sherman is saying in chat. Now, Matt is someone who actually works on the ships.
It's actually driven by the data. Okay, cool. I thought it was just quickly balanced.
Okay. Is saying most of it is driven by the raw IFCS data.
Okay. So, but like from my end as a user, what Boredgamer was saying is I like where the speed changes have gone since, but I don't like where the weapons balance has gone.
They've slowly moved stuff and dumbed down combat, which they've dumbed it down too much.
I think that they keep doing this, and they're gonna eventually figure it out. Because what happens is they slow things down, they sped things up, then they slow it way down. And they sort of pendulum back and forth for a bit.
The issue with what they've done currently here is they've removed a lot of other tactics in battle. There's only like one now, and I want a mixture of being able to strafe fight, being able to joust a little bit. I want various ranges of engagement, because that dog on tail like gunfighting, it's weird if it's constant and they're always there. You have to be directly behind them and like touching them firing. It's just a weird kind of something. I want more gameplay. I want more tactics. I want more abilities to engage at different theaters and different ranges and stuff, which we don't have in 2.6.1.
It feels like the weapons have been, the spread has been increased so much that even if the range can be 1,500 meters, that the round could hit, it won't. And, the cone of fire, you have to get closer and closer until you get repeated hits. And I think it was, this is, again, speculation citizen, I think it was done to once again get that kind of, very, very close combat where it's very wingman or wing commander looking, and you get to see the pretty ships. But I think it's gone too far, and I really think that it's starting to break the game, especially for me.
If that is the case, I want CIG to put in the patch notes, the intention of this balance is 2.
Okay. Yeah.
I want a little tiny brief note.
Right.
Because otherwise
so there's no more speculation citizen.
Otherwise it annoys me sometimes because I'm like, why are they doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they doing that?
It's frustrating.
Does that mean they haven't got the flight mechanics down for Squadron 42 and then I smash my mouse across the table?
Or is it deliberate?
Throw stuff around the room.
Can you throw your banjo out the window? Or the ukulele out?
No, I can, however, play it because I'm stressed.
No, don't.
Negative.
Don't start with him.
We'll just mute him.
Moving forward, we have more of an opinion question regarding ship destruction. What would you each prefer when it comes down to destroying or eliminating another ship? The way that Helsem pictures it is thinking ships' guns would just disable the ship and then send it adrift or non-functioning. And this is especially the larger ships, right? Unless you get a lucky or overload a critical or volatile system like the power core or a thruster or a fuel line or something like that. Otherwise, if you wanted to destroy a ship, you'd have to use large ordnance such as missile or torpedoes. And he says, it's unknown to me if there are any official stance on this. Like most things, there's still a lot to figure out. And this actually brings up a really good question, because the whole way that the gameplay mechanic is going to work with multiplayer ships is you can't have ships just start to take damage and then explode from getting hit in the wall. You know what I mean? So how do you think, or what do you think is going to be the best way for them to look at that? Once again, as you know, this is just us speculating on this, but what do you think?
I have an opinion on that, actually, because I'm an armored crewman by trade, so I drive tanks, gun tanks, and crew command. When we kill a tank, it's not about killing the tank, it's about killing the people in the tank. That's a confirmed kill. So you have the ship, which is its own entity, and the crew. So you don't necessarily have to blow up the ship to be effective at defeating,
and it would be hard
defeating
to
the
blow
enemy.
Up the ship as well.
Right,
hard to blow up a ship.
It's designed to stay together. It's designed to be shot at. It has armor and all kinds of other stuff. So
and there's going to be safety systems like the water systems that will shut off systems that are about to explode. They don't want to kill their own crewmen either.
Right, which is why the canopy shot on a Super Hornet right now is a good kill, because it kills the pilot and you get the kill and you've won right away. So yes, I think it's important that the ship doesn't blow up easily, and I do like the idea of being able to target individual, like take out the engines, like drop the shields and then take out the engines. But I also know the TTK can't be just that in 30 seconds after you start shooting, you have no engines and you're dead in the water and now you're dead, because that's not fun for everybody. Maybe the guy doing the shooting, but you have to be able to react. It's not you're a guy on a ship.
You need to have that gameplay for the other players, for sure, because if you have an engineer that's on there that needs to be going and repairing stuff, you need to give them that opportunity to do so.
To get there. Right.
And do it, right? And you're going to need a time frame for that. And like disabling ships and things like that. Like I think he brings up a good point that for some of the larger ships, any of the multi-crew ships, I think it should work that way, unless you're specifically targeting a power core or something like that would actually explode. Shooting a cockpit and killing the pilot and stuff wouldn't necessarily make the ship explode. You know what I mean? So it would be nice to see if that's the direction they go. We don't know if they're going to go that direction, but I'm pretty sure
the only way that a ship would explode like that, a larger ship, is if you hit its ordnance in a particular way.
Or you hit it with a big ordnance.
Right.
That exploded. Those big ordnance, they shouldn't do that much damage internally. Sure, well, I suppose some of the huge ones might.
Yeah.
Well, a size 10 torpedo on a Polaris should blow the fuck out of the whole. It should blow up the side of it, right? You would think that.
But it would blow up the side, and the only way I could see it blowing up the ship is if it penetrates into the ship and then detonated.
Right. And you would think that those weapons would be stored in a magazine that's designed to not let it blow up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like going around in space where there's radiation and weird shit. You don't
also keep in mind, with all of the realistic and stuff and everything, they also need to balance it in a way that it's fun to play.
Oh yeah.
And the game mechanics make sense from a game mechanics standpoint.
I think very much for the destroying of ships and the torpedoes and that sort of stuff. They are going to balance it with fun and visuals over physics. That's just my feeling. Like, they want stuff to look beautiful, and they want the cool explosions, and they want the cool, like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Well, as much as I want to
travel like this.
As much as I want to take out like a reclaim or a retaliator or something and shoot 3 torpedoes at something and watch it explode immediately, I know that if I was on that ship, I wouldn't want that to happen. So just like you said, the balance has to make sense from both perspectives, right? It's not, it's balance. It's called balance for a reason.
Moving on to our next question from Mud. He says, there seems to be a lot of butthurt over field of view. What are your opinions on an FOV slider, and is this an advantage to players maxing the FOV? I don't think it's, this is the thing. If everybody has that opportunity to max that FOV, then it's not an advantage, right?
No.
And I mean, you can edit it now. The problem is through the user config file, but the problem is the HUD doesn't scale with it properly. Now, that being said, there's a lot of games that have an FOV slider, and it is important for some people, right? Like you're getting
your
like
monitor shape tells you what
not
the
only
FOV
that, some
should
people
be.
get sick from the motion of something that's too narrow, or whatever. So for me, I know I prefer a 90-degree FOV or higher, and I don't think we even have 90 degrees right now. But I don't think that it really presents an issue, and I think that we'll get one eventually, because it is modifiable by everybody. And if you think that you're going to get an advantage by using the max, most games go up to a maximum of 110, then use it.
May I tell you why I think it's irrelevant, that it's why I think it should be in? Everyone's complaining that it's, oh my God, it's an advantage. What about track IR and VR? That guy, just by doing this, is going to have the same FOV as, he's going to have 180-degree field of view. And is
targeting with turrets and things like that as well.
So if you think that changing a little bit of your screen is an advantage and your butt hurt because some guy has an advantage over you, wow, are you ever missing the point? You need to go worry about the guy who's, looking around all over the ship because of an advantage. And it's PC gaming and it's normal. It's not balanced,
I do think they should have a scaler up to a certain level. They should. There definitely should be. You should be able to set to a certain level, even if it's just like 95 degrees or something. But we're going to be restricted by our helmets anyway. I mean, if you want better FOV, you're going to have to choose different types of helmet and that sort of stuff as well. So it's not just an FOV thing. It's what is my gear as well. But there definitely needs to be field of view, because that's a comfort and ergonomics thing as well. I mean, some people
for sure. Like that's the thing, is it does make some people feel nauseous and things like that as well.
And hopefully we'll get fucking VR support at some point as well. That's going to be an issue.
Hopefully we'll be able to turn off motion blur.
That would be nice.
These are things that are going to come in, right? It's just a matter of them. What is priority and what isn't. So,
but I do remember having track IR, and I got so used to it that I used to use it for asteroid avoidance. I wasn't even aiming weapons with it. I was just using it to do that little check out the left window to make sure that I wasn't going to crash into something. And as far as I'm concerned, let people have whatever field of view. I mean, obviously up to a limit in the future. It's not, I don't see that as an advantage, because there are greater things that are worse than that. A guy having a 1080 graphics card instead of a 760 is an advantage in itself. So who cares about an inch of extra screen real estate?
Our next question.
An inch can be important.
Oh my God.
Our next question comes from C Dizzle, and he says, this is directed to you, Nubifire. What do you think are the most viable combat ships in 261, and are some ships better suited for PvP or PvE modes respectively?
Definitely. Next question. No. So right now it's very easy. You can go look at the leaderboard in Battle Royale, and your normal staples are there. Last patch we had a lot of gladiators, and the big tanky ships were very OP. Find now you've got your Super Hornet is now back to normal, and your Sabres are good. If you're doing something like Pirate Swarm, taking a ship like that in because they've buffed the shit out of the Connie and the Ace ships, you're gonna have to team up to kill them, unless you have something really big like a Vanguard, maybe a Vanguard with a full missile loadout, because that ship now, the Connie, is actually very difficult to take out. So you almost have to get into chat if you're not with a friend and type and say, I'm going to go after Connie 10 and I need your help, is really the only way you'll be successful. So most definitely the balance change there has really upset what you want to take into a battle. Something like an Aurora MR, as much as I'd like to say that it's fine, don't expect to go into Pirate Swarm with it, because you're going to do great. Or an LN, let's say, with a bunch of size 2s on it. You'll do great right up until you hit Cutlass 1. And then you're not killing it. It's just it's just not going to happen. So it's an interesting balance pass on 2.6.1 just for that.
Fair enough.
I remember a time
Hopefully
when
that
I've been
answers
asked those questions before Noobify was on the podcast.
Oh my god.
Our next question comes from Magic Fingers, and he says, one of the biggest things I personally feel is holding back casual players from playing the game at the moment is every patch is huge. And this is something that I'm very vocal about.
Delta patch.
When do you think Delta patching will arrive? And do you think Delta patching will help in increasing the interest of the casual player in playing the game as I do? So yes, I'm actually a huge advocate for getting more information on the Delta patcher. I try and bring it up as often as I can, because I know that means that they can throw out, they not necessarily that they will, but they'll have the potential to put out fixes or changes as they are complete. Because what that means is the Delta patching, for those of you that don't know what that means, is instead of sending out whole pack files, which are, I believe, like up to 2 I think they start around 2 gigs per file. If you make any change, if you change like one letter in that, they have to send, and you have to re-download that whole pack file, instead of them sending out that information that's been changed and then compiling that pack file on your end. Now, I think that's really important. We haven't heard any news about that since about November, and they were aiming to hit that with before the holidays. Now, I don't know where they're sitting on that, and I hope that it's coming sooner rather than later.
I mean, I feel we'll get it between now and 3.0's release. I mean, that's quite a wide period of time because we don't know.
Yeah, well, I imagine we'll get it before or at the same time as 3.0. But
hopefully before.
In my opinion, the sooner the better. It's going to be something that's good for not only us, but for Star Citizen as well.
I mean, they are going to release it as soon as it's ready. Like literally, that could be ready today, maybe, and that they release it. But they have an internal build of the Delta patcher they are using, and they are working on. So
yeah, and to the question of is it going to interest the casual player, I don't know. But
it'll make it more accessible.
It'll make it more accessible for everybody. Yes. Right? Yeah. So, the people who have, number one, the downloader right now sucks up all your internet. It doesn't matter how fast your internet is. You have to make sure that nobody else in the house needs to watch a YouTube video or anything, because it just tanks it for however long it takes to download it. Number two is, like I said, you're getting those big patches out, and not everybody can download, especially when there's Evil Cotty and PTU and then live builds. 30 gigs was the last per run.
Yeah.
Right, per patch.
I know people in my org can't even download the PTU. Like, they get it, and it takes them so long that they get the patch, and then they've iterated to Hotel or India. The next patch has come out, and it's frustrating as shit because it sends their cap through the roof. And like, then the wife can't watch Netflix anymore because you're over your usage, right? Mm-hmm. So no, Delta patching is great for CIG because it's going to stop this outrush of petaflops. I don't even know what it is. It must be ridiculous. Petabytes of data. And also it's ass pain for those people that are unable to download it, like you say, without interfering with your entire family and getting divorced.
It's not getting divorced. It's not just that issue of accessibility. That having the Delta patcher saves CIG huge amounts of money.
Of course.
Yeah.
And enables them to do hotfix patches whenever
iterative. Right. Little fixes.
The little fixes, they can just do them. They just go. They said that can make a patch a day that they do for internal testing. We could potentially, I mean, we never would. We could potentially have that I mean, just think how much quicker PTUs and stuff. Actually, PTUs are done kind of like that anyway. But it just enables speed.
Well, you could do the
accessibility
PTU style daily patch without it costing 30 gigs. Is the point?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like if they add some, for example, if they added a handful of weapons and some new clothes, they could release a patch just for that. When they add the subscriber hanger flare, they could just release it when it's ready. So we could see things that when they're fixed, or if they need to get maybe, just like I said, I don't like the marker on enemy grenades. They could test it out for a week and just take that out all on its own, just with a single, like a 30 meg patch or something. And so it would give them a lot more flexibility to get things out and deploy them a lot quicker. Moving forward, Mortius71 says, do you think they will improve the frames per second in the persistent universe when 3.0 will be released? So I think that's what they're aiming for before they start looking to bring in more players. I think they want to get the frame rate up on the persistent universe, and then once they have the frame rate up, start bringing in players, maintaining that frame rate, bringing in more players, etc. I think that makes the most sense for them to go forward that way. But we do know that we are going to get the first real chunk of Star Network 1.0 with 3.0. So we should, in theory, get a better frame rate in...
Well, and what we're seeing in Star Marine is exactly the right direction. I understand it's localized for... It's false. It's not. Right. It's not the solution. The solution isn't to split the globe up into little microsections. But the fact that they're working on the back end network and that it's now in 3 possible locations, expanding in the future to that what I was saying about load sharing. If they can manage to get load sharing optimization done, then I mean it's going to happen for a commercial launch anyways. I'd love to see it sooner than later. So, but I don't think that they've actually confirmed it yet. I know they mentioned it at SitCon that they were doing it, but that was SitCon.
That's been a while ago. I would still say, unless said otherwise, and we're gonna see, when we have that schedule report, it'll show it in there if they're working on Star Network with 3.0 or prior to that.
Right.
Our next question comes from Ethric to Boredgamer.
Yes, a question for me.
Finally, question.
And he says, "Hey guys, Bored, can you give some tips on increasing performance in Star Citizen in the persistent universe now that 261 is out? Do you have an article or video on how to do this in 261?"
Yeah. Just post the link for it.
Okay, so he will post that link for you in...
I might get a video up as well at some point, but it would be going over this very, very similar stuff for 2.6, and then just a couple of other tips. Where the fuck is it?
I don't know.
I'm so sweary today. I'm so sorry I've been so sweary today.
Do you think that
fucking be sorry.
Do you think that the True View Vampire himself maybe has logged in with an alternate account and has asked that question, provoking a link to be put out?
Probably.
1 second, let me just ask the other question for me.
While Board's doing that and getting that for you, Cogito1985 says, "Hey guys, with the recent visual effects of planet-based mining shown during the sneak peek of the Prospector, I'm curious to know your thoughts about any changes mining will make on the planet. Will it bore a hole in the ground like other voxel-based games? And if so, could we use a Prospector to effectively dig out a foxhole and hide treasure or build defensive fortifications?"
To a point.
With asteroids, yes. So asteroids are voxel. With planets, I don't think so. I think
maybe the surface to a point, but there has to be a limit. You're not going to be digging like to China.
Yeah, they don't want you to be able to just destroy a planet.
And to anyone who's in China, I'm sorry, digging to Canada.
Yeah. But with asteroids for sure. That's actually one of my strategies I want to try. I call it hermit crabbing. I want to take my caterpillar and bore a hole in an asteroid big enough that I can carry, like I can just sort of park there with an asteroid around me.
Hiding.
Out of view. Yeah, hiding.
Trapdoor.
Yeah.
That finds just the way after you've left, just the imprint of the caterpillar in an asteroid. Just going,
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have like a perfect fit. You'd have to like bore it out.
That'd be so cool. You like do it like a puzzle.
Funny. Yeah. Your little home away from home. Little cave shade campsite
Twitch
in the asteroid field.
Eggplant emote. Anyways.
There are eggplant emotes. Bristol Boy 88 says, Hellion, what do you think? Looks like it'd be fun to tie us over until 3.0. I actually just got keys for myself and the entire team for Redacted. It's something I know a lot of the guys are looking forward to. I'm interested in it. I'm usually not into... I mean, I have a love-hate with survival games. But from what it looks like it could be legitimately fun. There are some things that were brought to my attention in the email I received today that I'm going to have to bring up with the other guys. And it's a game in early access. Just remember that. So the concept looks really cool.
Super Bucky, just in giant letters. This is Super Bucky.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm looking forward to trying out. But I won't be able to give feedback until I actually try it.
I've forgotten what it's like to play a finished game.
I do it every now and then, and it feels good, man. Like I played Resident Evil 7.
Evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only game I can think
That
of.
was the last game that I played. Was amazing. Borderlands I played was fun.
Oh yeah, Borderlands was fun.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? What are you looking forward to, Hellion?
I mean, the trailer's beautiful.
But it's always going to be.
Yeah.
As we said, with Star Citizen, you can make that game with the camera system look like the best game in the world ever now, even though it doesn't have enough gameplay to have that title yet. It's just Hellion, that could be the extent of it. There is, as far as I'm aware, no player versus aliens yet. Or player versus NPCs yet. So it's going to be
more of like player versus yourself. And player versus other players.
Yeah, PvP and player versus the literal environment. So, while you're scavenging, you managing your stuff.
Do you see it as a resource for ideas? Because Star Citizen's taking so long to develop. That's not a bash at anybody. Do you see us playing that game or that game coming out and being kind of co-located with the development of Star Citizen, that there might be some cross-pollination? There's like, oh, that I like the way they did that.
So in that PC Gamer interview, there were a couple of things that were brought up. And one of them, the questions was asked is, what do they take from other games? And they just said, any research and development, any ideas from other games, of course they'll look at, whether it be No Man's Sky, whether it be Eve, whether it be Elite Dangerous, and they use the good stuff and they use the other stuff that's not so good as a warning to not do that. So they'll look at this. Of course they will. I mean, hopefully this will tell them to not do any form of survival mechanics in their game. But I hope it does allow them to give something extra to the game. I mean, you'd always hope that everything that they see that comes out between now and Star Citizen Race, including Infinite Warfare, anything they can use as a little bit of influence, a little bit of direction of, yes, do this, don't do this, even if it's to do with media campaigns of how something's like No Man's Sky's marketed. You go, let's not market it like No Man's Sky, because that'll be full of lies. Stuff like that.
So yeah, I mean, the only thing we can do is check it out when it's available. Give feedback. Remember that it is an early access. There is going to be issues with it, 100% coming in. You know, there may be server overloads. There may be clipping issues. There may be frame drops.
Stuff getting wiped.
All kinds
the whole
of stuff.
server getting wiped. Things
are going to happen. But what you have to look at when you look at early access games, in my opinion, is look at the base mechanics, how they're doing it, and if they are going to be releasing patches on a regular basis. And if so, hopefully that it's fun and it's something that we can get into as well on the side. Our next song...
So one of the things we'll probably do next week after we've actually played Hellion, because it comes out on the 24th for $25, is we'll work out how big the Hellion team is and exactly how good it is. We'll give you the feedback next week.
Yeah. Our next question's from Android Bones, and he says, what is the maximum number of Marines, ship crew, and pilot you can legitimately stow in the Redeemer? I feel you can get 13. This question's kind of hard to answer because we don't really know. We know that the Redeemer's needs a rework. It's getting
right
reworked.
Now there's 6 chairs in the back.
In the back, yeah. Plus there's, 2
upstairs
turrets? 2 turrets, a pilot, and like a galley and some other stuff as well. So
right, but like you say, it's gonna that ship is older or as old as the Hornet got a rework for a reason, that ship is basically a piece of hanger flare right now. And what you see there is probably not going to be what you get. And I hope you like it because it's coming.
Yeah, so the Redeemer is certainly coming in the future. They are going to be working on it, or are working on it now. I couldn't possibly comment. And it's going to be different from what it is at the moment, surely.
Well, I know one thing: the Redeemer has still has the port and the floor, and I think the rework for the Cutlass, they got rid of it because now you EVA to board instead of docking. So I can see that as definitely one of the things that's going to go away. The engines, I can see them trying to keep the shape of the engines because it's kind of iconic. It's part of the original, but maybe reworking a different way.
Well, it needed a total second phase reconcepting because its original use has been taken by the Vanguard Hoplite now, for Squadron 42, and it was made by someone that at the time wasn't part of CIG at all. So it's not built for their standard ship pipeline.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions to finish in roughly 10 minutes. So we're going to lightning round these, okay? Data streamer, what non-ship combat feature are you most looking forward to and why? Board.
Mining.
Okay.
Yeah. Cargo. Cargo is the next thing for me.
Yeah, cargo and sort of that boarding stuff with that that would come with cargo on my end. Would be what I'm looking forward to.
Non-combat. Shut.
RMS actual. In the video with the Dragonfly, did anybody else fail to recognize the weapon that was being fired? No, it was a new gun. It was, and they've even showed it to us, I believe, in one of the newsletters.
Was that the Gemini 71? Was that actually
the S71? I think so.
There's
but
pictures
I
of it on Reddit.
But I'm excited.
I couldn't work out whether it was the same one.
I'm excited to see it in game sooner rather than later. CIG?
Maybe. On, CIG. More guns. Lots more guns. Constantly more guns.
I want a ton of options for sure. Jethro Dirt says, do you think that when the game goes live and you complete Squadron 42, you should be able to pick what system to start in? This would spread people out when you start your life as a pilot and make station and landing pads so crowded. I think that you're going to be able to choose where you start regardless, if you play Squadron 42 or not. It's going to be limited, I think, to maybe a handful of different places. You couldn't just start wherever you want.
You're not going to be able to live on the Vandal homeworld.
No, but there will be places where you're going to be able to start out. That
lean from literal loading up the game.
UEE, more outlaw.
I think that from loading up the game after playing Squadron 42 and loading up Star Citizen, that they'll obviously some time's passed since Squadron 42 to when you're playing in the MMO universe. So they can handle it in 2 different ways, or 3 different ways, I suppose. They can have it pick where you want within a certain select set of systems. They can have it you come out of a bar or seeing a friend or the UEE kind of like the mission, like the UEE offices, like after you finished your tour. You just come out of there and be like, why was I here?
Yeah, some sort of
or they can start you in, or they can start you in like an outlawy system if you've chosen that for your character. Because obviously some people won't play Squadron 42.
Right.
And they'll just jump straight into the MMA universe. But they've said you can start where you want to, I think. And you'll be able to place your hangers where you want to. So.
D. DeMarco 5 says, what portion of 3.0 are you looking forward to most? Gameplay features versus tech improvements, for example.
Landing.
I think planetary landing is definitely up there for a lot of people. I'm also looking forward, being able to go into a planet and do the exploration of a planet. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's tied with the network stuff. I mean, we've talked about this before. For me, personally, I really like the idea of the network starting to function properly. But the planets is so huge and so awesome that...
Tangible gameplay is mine.
Two second question. Mining was supposed to be 3.1, was it not?
Yeah, it might be in 3.0 now because of what they're talking about. Yeah,
you think so too? Okay.
I think
next question.
Possibility. Yeah.
Just wanted to bring it up.
Edison Trent says, "How will you feel if the Hurricane is the old concept image we saw of the F8 Lightning, and the F8 is a totally new ship?" Yeah, I think I would be okay with it, but I think the F8 Lightning is a heavy armored ship, and so from the way that it looks, it wouldn't make any sense. If they're touting it as a glass cannon, the
The lightning is
F8
not a glass
Lightning
cannon. No.
is the opposite of that. It didn't have a ton of weapons. It had a fair amount, but it was a very heavy looking armored
The lightning
ship.
looks like the Batmobile crawler. You know, the rock tumbler?
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
That is not what I would look at when I think of glass cannon.
No.
It's a fucking tank.
Son Von Harvey says, do you think the loaner ship for the Constellation Phoenix should be the Aquila, since it also has a rover and pocket fighter? Yes, as soon as it comes in, for sure.
But it's not even in the universe yet, so yeah.
Yeah, but the Aquila will be coming in with 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way of getting that to be a thing is make sure you post in the correct forums and poke CIG about it.
And let them know.
Say, let them know, because they will.
Because they are working on a lot of stuff, and that could be something I could see them accidentally gloss over very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Norakia says, of the missile types, you can send out flare for infrared and send out flares for the heat seeking and chaff for IR ones. Do any of you know the plan of countermeasures for the Wi-Fi symbol missiles?
Cross section.
Yeah.
The actual ship hull. Technically, if you were to go for actual real, a chaff should also mask cross section.
Yes, and it probably will in the future.
Yeah, because it shoots out a reflective screen that in between you and the missile.
Yeah.
So
we would
technically,
think
that chaff should do both.
And if you notice though that if you constantly fire chaff while you're not moving, that everyone will lose lock on you.
Yeah.
And that happens now. So eventually that will happen for the CS missiles.
Notorious DYD asks, why does the downloaded patches stall on 24 kilobytes or some tiny amount at the very end? And will the Delta patcher cure this super annoying bug? I have no idea why. It's super annoying. This is my suggestion for that. You can, once it gets to that point, you can launch the game, but you have to launch the game from the directory. And what I do is I just leave the launcher on overnight, and it'll eventually fix it. But it is super annoying, and I'm hoping that gets fixed with the Delta launcher, because
it's like there's some sort of little bit of data it needs to get from a different server.
Yeah, or
yes,
something.
You downloaded this or something like that. It's weird.
Yeah, it's just
it also seems like the only people that are experiencing it. I know it's not true, but it's just because I read the forum, and everyone who's happy is playing the game, and everyone who's pissed off is in the forums, right? So you're in the forums, and all the new people are like, what the fuck is wrong with this game? I just spent $35-$40 on this piece of shit, and it's not even letting me in. And people
that's just the No Man's Sky forums.
Right. Don't even get me started. But no, it sucks though, because it's definitely a bad first impression if that's what you get. It's almost as bad as that tutorial thing. Do a barrel roll.
Yeah.
Do a barrel roll.
Guylan, has anyone found a way to get into the PTU or the PU with your friends now that the elevator is no longer functional? It says on Crusader, at the bottom when you log in, it says how many of your friends are in that server. There's a little thing at the bottom. So as of right now, I think that's the best way to do it, is just go to that. I think you can select those different ones to what ones you want to go to.
I just make a party and go in, and everyone else joins at similar time to you, seems to get into the same.
Yeah,
I haven't had any bad luck with or having difficulty joining with who I want. Definitely better compared to when we first got to the Persistent Universe, where you would just be trial and error.
Definitely.
Dead 2.0.
Dread Rover says, okay, this is an interesting
a 4-part question.
Has the PvP slider been brought back? How much ability should players have to avoid non-consensual PvP via things like
0.
a slider? I personally think the area should be dictate player danger. Yes. E.g. zero sex space sneak. That's exactly what's happening. There is no PvP slider. It's not something that can function properly. If it was, the game would suck.
It would just break the game because you'd never see anybody.
That said, there are areas of space that will be almost entirely safe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there'll be starting areas which are really safe. You'd have to go out of your way to be a dick, really go out of your way to try and kill people in those areas. And there will be probably areas of PvP that they try and encourage PvP by some mechanics in certain areas of space. Like there's really rare resources, but they spawn very rarely. Fight.
Right. And it's just like real life too. You wouldn't go, well, maybe London's a bad example, but you wouldn't go downtown somewhere with gold bricks on your body. And just know that there are certain parts of town you don't go to at night. it's the same thing. There's certain parts of space that you know you will get shot at.
Yeah.
Right? So
did you think of London and then think of a different place because you were worried that I'd get offended that you said London?
No, because London
fucking
has
rough,
cameras.
mate.
No, but they have cameras everywhere, so it'd be stupid to do that. Next question.
Our next and last question for this week is from Alfei. Do you think clipping out of ships will be fixed by 3.0?
Sure.
There'll be a whole host of new problems though. Deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, even if I don't think so. I think there's a lot of ships they still need to fix, like the Mustang,
Delta
for
was
example.
fixed. It was fixed.
The
though.
Delta was, but what about the other Mustangs? There's still issues with clipping on those ships. I mean, I had an issue with a Caterpillar. I got out of my seat yesterday and it shot me up through it. So I don't think it's going to be 100% fixed with that, but just remember that 3.0 is going to bring a whole slew of new problems.
Yeah. Right.
As they're adding
room
a bunch
system,
of really
item
cool stuff.
system 2.0, new ways of using gravity, new landing systems. There's going to be a whole host of terrible bugs.
And also, clipping isn't an alpha fix. Clipping is a beta fix.
Yeah.
So it sucks. I mean, I would love to be able to have it fixed just as much as everyone, but the reality is I'm sure that it's not a priority yet. The fact that we are even worrying about balance in an alpha is in itself unusual.
Yeah.
So
for sure. So thank you for everybody who brought in questions. If there are any other questions in the doc, don't worry. We will get to those next week. If you have any other questions in between now and the podcast, feel free to post your questions in the link below or in chat by typing in !question. So why don't we wrap this up? And Bored, what are you up to this week and where can people find you?
People can find me at Boredgamer UK, pretty much on all the social medias, on the Twitches, on the YouTubes. YouTube is my main form of like stomping grounds. I'm going to be doing a mixture of things. There is a big section of starters and videos I need to catch up on. So I'm updating my tutorials, updating my ship guides. Probably at some point I will start doing roles and job stuff after Noob's finished doing his series on it. It just makes sense. Because I'm a vampire. And if you'd like to see some more videos, I'll throw you some thralls. Don't you worry. Right, but also Hellion. So Hellion obviously comes out on the 24th. Very much looking forward to that. I hope I play it and go, this is
also remember we have early access to that.
We do, don't we? It's like today or tomorrow or something.
I have the keys for it right now.
Oh my god. So more NDA based bullshit where I just go, I can't talk about it.
I mean, you can, but all right.
Yay! Woo! It's amazing. The game's amazing, guys. I'm talking to you from the future or the past, or I don't.
Bored doesn't know. I'm pretty sure you just had an aneurysm. It'll be all right.
Thanks. But other than that, I've got lots of Star Citizen videos to catch up on, and we've got some interesting news, and obviously my Foundry 42 trip. As soon as I can get that out, I will, because I think there's some cool info in that. And people, you will fucking lose your shit at some of the stuff that I saw. It's amazing. But have some fucking hype. What about you, Noob?
So I'm going to continue to do what I do, which is YouTube videos, because I'm not a Twitch streamer, in case any of you didn't know that. I'm going to continue to work on jobs. I'm thinking about doing the cargo running, but I'm probably going to wait until after the 10 for the chair, so I don't spew out a bunch of crap and then have it all be wrong. I was going to try to flesh out a guide to Pirate Swarm and Vandal Swarm so that people will be able to get into that. I thank the community. Today I crossed 17,000 subscribers, so everyone goes and unsubs right away. I'm just kidding. Please don't do that, but whatever. And just a reminder too, LTI Carrick giveaway is been pushed from my patron backers. So thank you very much to them. And if you want, watch for that video, and all you need to do is type a comment, and then you have a chance of getting a free ship. So that's it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Perfect.
This was a lot of fun, by the way.
And myself, I'm going to be working on some more prototyping for the Streamhouse stuff, which is an always ongoing thing. Messing around with some more of my IRL stuff to get ready for PAX East. which once again, if you're going to be there, I'm going to be there from the 9th to the 14th of March. And Twerk will be there from the 10th to the 12th. The 9th to the 12th? 10th. Something like that. And yeah, that's in Boston. So if you're not, even if you're not going to PAX and you're going to be in Boston, you want to hang out, go for drinks or something, let us know in Discord or on Twitter. Other than that, we'll be playing some Star Citizen. Going to be checking out Hellion and any cool horror games that come out for sure. Also, I'm going to be jumping on into some Star Marine for a little bit here while we're downloading Hellion. Right after the podcast, we're not even going to go offline. We'll go straight through. I don't know if you guys are going to join me in Star Marine. If you want to stick around. If not, if you got to go, that's okay too.
I'm going to raid in Rust.
Yeah.
I'll just play in. I don't have to be on stream with you.
No, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fine. So thanks for everybody coming by the podcast, and I will see you momentarily on here.
Guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, guys, take care.
So many kisses.
Yeah, so many. All right, guys, let me